one of the unexpected impacts was that we started getting invited to Facebook and Google and Apple. We did a panel discussion at Google on the intersection of Christianity and technology.
Well, hey again, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the GEB America podcast. I'm David Groves. I'm right here at the world headquarters of GEB in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Today we have a special guest on the podcast. Ryan Collins is the CEO of the Bethel School of Technology, the first online Christian tech boot camp in the world. And prior to his role at Bethel Tech, Collins spent 12 years creating strategic partnerships between higher ed institutions and Fortune-level companies to attract, retain, and develop talent for the future of work. He is an author as well. He wrote the book, The God of Tech, and we're going to talk about that in just a minute. But Ryan, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me, David.
So tell us a little bit the origin story. We do this with everybody. When did you realize you had an affinity to technology, and what was kind of the journey?
Yeah, it was pretty nondescript, So I went to university for a journalism degree at the University of Missouri. So my dream was to be a sports writer and a sports broadcaster, and did that a little bit, and moved down to Dallas, Texas from Columbia, Missouri. Oh, I was probably 25 years old. I was 1 year into my marriage. I've been married for, it'll be 19 years this March. And so we moved down to Dallas, and I started writing sports articles for American Airlines, their in-flight magazine, American Way. And, it was fun. It was contract, and I was, it was up and down. So I needed something that was a little bit more steady because we wanted to buy a house. We wanted to start a family, and had a friend at church that was into online higher education. He said, why don't you come work for this company I'm working for? I think you can do really well here. This is a growing industry, and you can still write and all those things. So I did it really out of necessity. And what I found, first of all, it was a sales job. I was a business development specialist, and I would go in the North Dallas area and work with companies to help their employees go back to school, and use that as kind of a career progression opportunity within their companies. And it was a sales job. I hated sales. I remember the first job I had out of college, for a week, David, I was a used car salesman at a Toyota dealership in mid-Missouri, and I didn't even get off the training floor because I couldn't stand the manipulative tactics that they would employ to get somebody to buy a car. So I vowed never to be in sales, but here I am in this sales position. But what I found, I would go to these companies, and I'd sit in their break room and talk about going back to school, and I'd sit with a single mom who was working 2 or 3 jobs, just trying to get their kids through school, but had a dream, might have been at like a manufacturing company, and but had a dream to go back to school and be a nurse or to be an accountant, and to help them where they felt like they didn't have any opportunity before. And it was like, oh my gosh, I get to change people's lives. I get to be a part of their journey. And so I thought that was really powerful. And I do believe that education is one of the most powerful levers for upward economic mobility in the world. It's transformative in someone's life. So anyways, that's how it started. And to make a long story not as long, over the next 10 years, continued to move up and start being part of some really disruptive higher education institutions, and working on corporate development, and then starting to meet with C-level, chief learning officers, chief human resources officers, on what keeps them up at night in terms of their tech talent needs. And I remember being with a company. We acquired this little coding school out of Akron, Ohio, and my partnerships with companies like IBM and Liberty Mutual, Cigna Healthcare, when they found out we had this coding school, all they wanted to do was focus on that, hiring our graduates, but then upskilling and reskilling their current workforce for the future of work. And I felt this is where it's super powerful. And so that was the journey. And I will share, I don't know, one in particular kind of anchor point moment for me in this journey, because you asked about tech. I don't have a background in tech, but I knew that this was where the future of work was. I had a tech hire grant, helped spearhead a grant. It was a $4 million grant in Queens, New York, to help a highly underserved, marginalized community, highly impoverished community learn to code Java in 16 weeks. And so we set this up at LaGuardia Community College. We'd have single moms bus in. We'd set up daycare for their kids. They learned to code Java in 16 weeks. weeks, and then 3 months later, get $80,000 jobs. And I had this thought in my heart, this is how you transform community. And as soon as I thought that, I heard the Lord say, you're absolutely right, Ryan. Would you build something like this with me, where people didn't just discover what they're capable of, but they discovered their identity as my son and my daughter, and that I love them dearly. And I didn't know it at the time, but that was the seed of Bethel School of Technology being planted in my heart.
Wow. So take us back to when you founded Bethel School of Technology, and specifically, what are the maybe the core elements that are available to people?
Yeah, so we launched Bethel School of Technology in January of 2018 as the first online Christian coding boot camp in the world, and we're still the only one to the best of our knowledge. And the drive-by narrative is that God and the tech space are mutually exclusive. That unlike other industries or spheres that started with a biblical root, the tech space is this entirely humanistic endeavor. We built this in Redding, California, which is 3.5 hours east of Silicon Valley, which I would say is the most influential zip code in the world. And so we launched it with the idea that we would equip kingdom-minded believers with the most in-demand tech skills so they could go into the most influential space in the world, which is the tech space, and serve companies with excellence in both skill and character. And by doing that, you are containers of the presence of God. And to be so excellent in that skill and character component, it causes somebody to ask, what is it about you that's different? And then that's an organic, open door opportunity to share your testimony with Jesus. And so we've seen that over the last 6 years. We started with full stack software development as our flagship program. We've since added data science, UI UX design, cybersecurity, data analytics. We're building a blockchain cybersecurity program right now. And just, it's been really exciting. We knew that there would be churches and ministries that would be cheering us on when we launched this. But one of the unexpected impacts was that we started getting invited to Facebook and Google and Apple. We did a panel discussion at Google on the intersection of Christianity and technology. And it wasn't the tech skills that piqued their curiosity. It was the fact that we focused on the high character component, things like culture of honor, healthy relationship and community, brave communication, trustworthiness and integrity. And even though they couldn't align with our faith, they saw us as one of the first coding schools that was intentionally focused on the same types of soft skills that they were investing millions of dollars to elevate their workplace culture. So we had a seat at the table at the largest tech companies in the world right from the onset because of our kingdom values, which was pretty awesome.
Yeah, every employer wants to have a team that is, dependable and has ethics, and you don't have to necessarily train that into them. It's great if they come in with that ability.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm curious about this. Here at GEB America, we're media platforms. We're on a lot of we're on OTT, we're on satellite, we're on a number of apps, and we've actually, about 3 years ago, started utilizing blockchain technology. So we've tried to be ahead of the game and always looking forward. But when it comes to the church and the nonprofit world, and I've talked to several people about this, there's a little fear of the unknown, fear of, well, I don't quite understand that. And then what ends up happening is they don't take the time to learn. They don't research it, and then they're behind on that, either those skills, or they're behind on the technology in general. So what do you say to people that are maybe the new tech and hearing all the buzzwords kind of sets them back and causes a little bit of trepidation?